Happy to be here with you today. My name is Bertie Cunningham, and I work in the Wellness Center as the health educator. I've been on campus about I think I might be going on my 14th year or so been here a while. And I totally love what I do, and I'm so excited to share with you some of the stuff that we do in the Wellness Center, as well as the other half of the department I work in is the health service clinic. I think most of you heard from Kathy just recently and stuff. And so I'll talk a little bit about the clinic, but mostly about health and wellness on campus. And this quote, I think, the director, Madonna, really loves this quote. And I think it really provides a really good basis for what we do. It says, when health is absent, wisdom cannot reveal itself, art cannot manifest, strength cannot fight, wealth becomes useless, and intelligence cannot be applied. And so all the work we do, we do to help keep your students healthy. The motto in the Wellness Center is developing healthy lifestyles. And so really trying to get your students to carry on probably a lot of the same messages you've been giving them, to keep them healthy, and if they are sick, get them healthy in the clinic, because we know health is tied to academic performance for sure. So that's why we do what we do. I thought I'd kind of give you a framework for how this comes about and how the work we do in the Wellness Center and Health Service. It's really a public health model. It's as though I am a public health person, and my community I work in is the campus of St. Thomas. So Healthy People 2020 is this document put out by the US government. I think everybody knows it, but probably not, because you're not so into health as I am, but they bring together everybody, like the Centers for Disease Control, American Heart, and they come together and they put out goals and objectives for the health of the United States. So goals around breast cancer, heart disease, all the different topics. And the American College Health Association is the Association for College Health Personnel. And they take that document and they create what is called a Healthy Campus 2020. It switches every 10 years. So in Healthy Campus 2020 deals with just the health of college students. So there's not stuff around breast cancer or heart disease, more things related to college health. And I do 2 surveys on campus every couple of years. The core survey is a survey that looks at alcohol and other drugs, so we know the behaviors of our students in those areas. And then the American College Health Association also has a health survey that we do called the National College Health Assessment. And so we know all the other health behaviors of our college students. And so I've been doing those surveys on campus and kind of track data, see trends, and also compare how we compare to national, but it also gives me an idea of how we should be spending our program dollars and what we should be working on our specific campus. So what I thought we'd do today is walk through those different areas. So when I got all this data back the first time and I looked at it, I kind of saw that if I had these 5 leading healthy indicators, this is where I should really spend my time and energy. Alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, so we do a lot of programming around that area. Mental health, we do some around like traditional kind of mental health things you would think of, but we don't do a lot. What I consider in the mental health area from a health promotion perspective is stress and sleep is where we spend a lot of time. Physical health, that's all the health data we have about our students' physical health, the more like colds and flus, mono, all those kind of things. Overweight and obesity. So there we do a lot of programming around nutrition as well as physical activity. Injury and violence, we do some programming, believe it or not all students are wearing seatbelts. Totally crazy. Not all students wear bike helmets. You can probably believe that one more so. And then we do some programming around sexual violence and sexual assault. And so we work on all these 5 areas. But then what I discovered was if I work on alcohol, stress, and sleep, I if I just work on those 3 categories, I'll have a direct impact on all 5 areas. Those 3 categories are so interwoven between all 5 areas. It's unbelievable. So I spend a lot of time on those 3 topics because I get my biggest bang for the buck, or I don't know what the cool saying is like that. So what I thought today what I could do was talk about those 3 topics with you. So I'm going to give you some data, some talking points to talk with your students about them, take what works, let go what doesn't work for you, and then we'll just make our way through. Okay, alcohol. We know it's affecting our students' academics. 24% of our students have said they've missed class because of their alcohol use on campus. And 18% have performed poorly on a test or an important project because of alcohol use. So we definitely know it's having an impact for our students. And so here's some good helpful hints. Again, take what works for you. Remind your students that he or she is part of a large, sensible majority that makes healthy choices regardless of use of alcohol. And that one kind of goes in with the next one, is help your student challenge the assumptions about myths and about the drinking culture during college. And I often, when I talk with students about alcohol use, there's a couple things I say. Well, there's like 3 things I can think of off the top of my head. One is that we always remind them, if they're under 21, St. Thomas isn't this like little magical land, like the laws still apply here. So if you are under 21, it is still illegal to drink on campus, so that's always a good reminder. And then I talk about, you're going to have to build a relationship with alcohol. And a lot of our students come, and we know this, they come with already having experience with alcohol. And for some of them, they're still figuring out what 1 drink does per hour for their bodies compared to 3 drinks per hour. And maybe, where is that happy medium? And that takes time, I think, for students to figure out and stuff. But we want them to do it in a safe and very healthy way. And so we talk a lot about eat a meal before you go out as a group, come home as a group, 1 drink per hour. We have these messages that we really hit home with our students about how to do it in a safe and healthy way as you're figuring that out if you choose to drink. And that gets into the other thing I like to talk about is this idea of social norming or whatever. If you go to a party and there's 100 people at this party, it's a really kickin' party, and there's 2 people totally making out on the couch, there's somebody peeing in the front lawn, there's somebody puking in the bathroom, there's a few people flirting it up, and there's a huge argument with another 4 people. Like when you come back to campus and when you talk about this great party, you're going to talk about one of those 10 people because those are the behaviors that are so visible and so easy to talk about. But in reality, there was 90 other people at that party. And some of them weren't drinking. We know from our data, not all of our students are drinking. Some of them weren't drinking. Some of them were drinking but having a really good time and just kind of buzzed and having a good time. Some were maybe meeting their future partner. Some were having great conversations. Some were talking about what's going on in their personal life. Like there was so much other good stuff that could be happening at that party, but we tend to concentrate on one of those 10 people. And it just feeds this cultural idea we have of drinking in college. So just like helping your students see the bigger picture of it all, and that we know there are students on campus making really healthy choices. They're not always the most visible ones is the problem. And then encourage your student to take e-chug. It's this online alcohol education tool. It's found on the Wellness Center website. They can just go on anytime. We promote it throughout the year. And it's quick, it's easy, and it asks students a bunch of questions about their alcohol intake and then what they think college drinking is like at St. Thomas, then it gives them the actual what is happening. It gives them all the preventive messages. It asks about family history. And then, this is the part they love, it talks about how many drinks you have and compares that to the amount of cheeseburgers that you would have ate. So the whole calorie content. For some people, that really hits home. So it talks about all these different, how much money you spend. That's another way it hits home for some college students. So it has all these different areas in which it looks at alcohol. So good luck with those conversations. All right, so now we'll move on to stress. And we know, I can tell you right now, your college student is going to be stressed out if they aren't already. And we know at St. Thomas, 51% of our students report they have average or the greater amount of stress. So they are stressed out. And they got a ton going on. They're figuring out lots of stuff. They're figuring out their academics, their social life, spiritual life, what that looks like for them. They're trying to find time to eat. Tons of them are volunteering. They're working. They're on an athletic team, or they're on intramurals, or they're trying to find time to work out, socializing. I mean, there's studying beyond just going to class. There's tons of stuff going on for them, and so they are stressed out. And here are the different things they are stressed out. I love this. I have a little red pointer. Oh, maybe I do. Woo, right there. So academics, of course. Finances kept coming up as number 2. So we started to do more programming around finances. And what does that mean? And we're still asking this on our surveys. Is it more your discretionary fund? Is it your day-to-day living expenses? Is it just the overall pressure of how much college is costing? Like, what about that finances is so stressful? And then number 3 for quite a few years has been sleep. And that really hit home with me, and I'll talk about what we've been doing around sleep. But then you can see a lot of the other ones are really relationship-based. St. Thomas students are really relational. And so you can see all the different things that they are stressed out about. This is a quick one. I'll just put in here. So along the bottom are the days, so the week, and the amount of stress is going upward. And you can see that the more stressed they are, the worse sleep they're getting. They are feeling more and more tired during the days of the weeks if the more stress they have. So correlated together. And then we know 39% report stress is affecting their academics. 30% is sleep is affecting their academics. 14% of our students really struggle with depression, and there's great resources on campus for that. 14%, again, those relationship difficulties, and then the 20% that are really concerned for a troubled friend or family member. Again, those relationship kind of things. All right, and so what we're doing about stress. And I love this. It just started on campus. Because it used to be like, Bertie, come into my class and talk about stress. And I'd be like, okay, time management, here we go. But then this started, and I'm loving it, and it's really working well with students. 2 faculty members and myself started it this past year. We got a grant to get it up and going, and it's the Project for Mindfulness and Contemplation. And so what we're doing is holding mindfulness. We're holding different meditation classes on campus. There's 3 of them offered now over Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then there's like a mindful movement, kind of like a yoga class. And so more and more students are getting involved and coming to these. And we know, we know it's working because I got a faculty member to bring in a couple of students wanted to do a research project, and so I had a faculty member bring in her whole course. So we had like 30-some students go through a class, and so they came in, they got cortisol studied, so they did saliva test. Pre-meditation, we did our 40 minutes of meditation. It's awesome. I'm always like, I get paid to lie and do nothing. But we did our meditating, and then they did the saliva test, the saliva test again to measure cortisol, which is a stress hormone. Every single student's stress hormone went down through the post-meditation. So we know it's working. It helps with stress levels. And so we're really building this up and trying to get more and more of it on campus and getting more people involved. More faculty members are having their students come and everything. And it's a really great, and I love it. It's a new way to approach stress on campus. So encourage your students, and if you come back for family weekend, I think we're holding a meditation session that Friday, so come reduce your cortisol levels. Could be my tagline, I suppose. And then the other thing that happened about a year and a half ago, which was also really great, is I started working with a faculty member, and she teaches the stress class on campus. So health and human performance is a major, and within there's a stress class. I don't know the exact title, that sounds stressful in itself, but something about stress. And so she started working with these students, and they would keep a journal and throughout the semester, and she started to realize that the way in which they talk about stress is kind of like grief and loss. And her background had some grief and loss, and so she started doing this and comparing it, and it's super, I think it's an awesome way to look at stress and to talk to your students about it. So, because we know your students, when they come to campus, they're going through a lot of loss. Like, it's this huge, exciting time, and these students over and over in our class would be like, if I hear somebody tell me, these are supposed to be the best years of your life, I don't want to hear that anymore. I'm stressed out. This isn't really all that, like, I'm super stressed. This doesn't seem like these are the best years of my life. And so talking to them about the loss, like when they come here, they're losing perhaps their best friend. The relationship is changing, definitely with you. Hopefully, in some ways, is changing with you. So there's a loss. Maybe they're leaving their family pet. Maybe they're leaving the freedom of having a car. Oh my gosh, can you imagine that? Like, all these things are leaving and changing. And so looking at that as like a loss. But there's also some gains, and helping them get that perspectives of gains and losses. And also setting the expectation, like, yeah, it's going to be a really great time in your life. Like, you have so much potential, like, just coming at you at this time, but it's going to be hard. Like, for sure you're going to get stressed. Like, and making those expectations really realistic. And then about 6 weeks into the semester, they are going to get super stressed out. I guarantee you this. So have fun at that point. And so be ready for that, and normalize it for them, and be like, yeah, this is really, you got a lot going on here. So I really liked this way of talking about stress and grief. Help your students figure out what stress-reducing activity works for them, and encourage them to stick with it. And I think for some of your students, you might know them better than they know themselves. You've been watching them, and you know, like, when they get super stressed out, maybe they need to just hang out at home more, or maybe they're not as social, or maybe they need to go out for a run or go out for a walk, or maybe they need to be more social, or, remind them of, like, oh, this is what I've noticed what happens when you get really stressed, and they might not be aware of how their behavior changes. So help them with that. Remind them the importance of maintaining and creating a schedule, which goes with the next one, which is number one important thing, if I can stress anything to you. Have your student, or talk to your student about getting up at the same time every day. Huge, huge, huge. It'll be highly successful for them if they do this. It is probably also one of the many challenges for them, because they might have an 8 a.m. class on Mondays and Wednesdays, but not one until 2 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so, but having them get up, get into that routine, get breakfast, they can take a nap if they do it in the right way, but having that routine will help them tremendously be successful. And of course, get involved in the Wellness Center programs. We have lots of great things. I'll tell you more about them. All right. And now sleep. This is super exciting. I was just coming off maternity. So about 5 years ago, I got in, people were like, I got this data back for the first time, and the sleep kept coming up. And I was like, oh my gosh, sleep, what am I going to do about it? Well, it hadn't really risen so much. Like now it's kind of more in the everyday world. And it hadn't risen much in college health yet as this hot topic that it is now. It's starting to be. And I was like, what am I going to do about sleep? Like, I don't know much about sleep. What am I going to do? And they were like, people were like, oh, you should talk to Dr. Roxanne Pritchard on campus. And I was like, okay. So I go over to her office, and she had just done this study and got published on it, and kind of started to get well known, that she looked at college students and she thought they weren't getting enough sleep because they were out socializing, partying, having a good time, the college image we have in our head. And she thought for sure that's what she would prove on her study. What she ended up finding, which was amazing, was students were going to bed, but they weren't able to fall asleep because they were so stressed out. Racing thoughts, could not calm their mind enough to fall asleep. And that's why they were losing sleep, not getting enough. Another reason why we did the meditation project. And so I was like, okay, let's work on this. And she did sleep as her doctorate program, so she's very, very knowledgeable on sleep. I've gained some, so I'll share with you stuff. And we've been doing these different research projects and presenting nationally on all of our different stuff we've been finding and doing. And it's been this great relationship and being able to do things and have programs with students. So I'm going to share with you some of the stuff we've been up to. And she's also been really, in the last couple of years, has gotten known really nationally. She's been in the USA Today, the Huffington Post and stuff for some of this research that we've figured out about college students and sleep and trying to narrow down what is it that we can do to help students. All right, so Maslow's hierarchy of needs, just pointing out that sleep is something your body needs. Without it, you will die. If you just like air and food and water, you would die if you don't get enough sleep. Way, way, way back in the day in China, this was a form of capital punishment. It is a definite, your body needs sleep. So we all know we go through different stages when we sleep and what is happening. This is your brain waves sleeping. So this is what's going on in your brain while you're sleeping, and as you're going through different phases. I'm going to show you because I think this is such a remarkable slide. She's like, you're showing this? But I think it's awesome because we know if you learn something like a left-handed piece on the piano, they can direct that right into where in your brain you're learning that while you're sleeping. If your student is like, oh, I stayed up all night and I passed the test and I learned everything, you could be like, great, but you're not going to remember that stuff for the final, guaranteed. Your body needs to, or your brain needs to process it during your sleep. And so this is how active your brain is, and then just wait for it. Look at this. I mean, crazy. That's it, processing information. It's just amazing what is going on in your brain while you sleep. So for sure. Isn't it wild? I think that's so crazy. And then you go back into your other stages of sleep. And so you really need to have enough sleep to be able to go through all those different cycles. Okay, I feel like you weren't as impressed as I am, but I'll move on. Okay. Don't get enough sleep totally impacts your overall health. And I'm a true believer now, more than anything, I think it's one of the very basis of our overall health. It impacts everything. It's tied to weight gain, it's tied to loss of energy, moods. I'm sure you've noticed this with your students, probably. We do flu shots on campus, and we always stress beforehand. We do a big campaign about make sure you get a good night's sleep the night before your flu shot, because if you do, you're going to create more antibodies to fight the flu, actually. That has been proven. So it's huge how much it's tied in with everything. Okay, so now we'll get into some different research that she's done more so. Here is, we have on campus ROTC, and maybe some of your students will be involved in this. And the great thing about ROTC is it's very regimented. They are up, I think they have their practice time, I don't know what that's really called, but they come together as a group every morning. I think it's at 6 a.m. I'm pretty sure it's 6 a.m. And so they're there every morning. They have to get up at the same time every day. And this is their, a student within ROTC, their circadian temperature. So your circadian temperature is the cycle within the 24 hours your body is going through, like tells your body when to make more cells, all this kind of stuff. I'm sure there's a doctor in the audience that's like, she is fumbling. But circadian temperature, it's the cycle of your body. And this student in ROTC, awesome. This is like beautiful. Another, like this one's even super beautiful. A student that is very regulated. And then here's 90% of the class. Just crazy. Their bodies have no idea what time it is. What are they supposed to be doing internally? And this is all because of sleep. Just crazy. Okay, we also know, my flashy thing, here we go. This is 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, freshman year of college. This huge jump in going to sleep, what time they go to sleep at night, is only comparable. This is the only time it's comparable in their life to when you took away their nap as a toddler. It's a huge shift, this abrupt shift that happens to them. And so they have to they're going through this. It's crazy. And what are the challenges? Here they are, tons of them. We kind of talked about some of them. The pressure to stay up late, no parent to tell them to go to bed, the roommates, technology in the bedroom is one of our hugest things, and we always talk to students about this. Getting text messages all night long. Caffeine is a huge one. Not knowing how long caffeine has a lifespan inside your body is huge. Poor management, the stress, depression, alcohol, tons of stuff going on that's leading to poor college sleep. Okay, this is kind of fun. Over on the left-hand side here, we have a normal night of sleeping. You can see the students going into deep sleep. You can see it's really beautiful, the different cycles that they're going, different stages of sleep they're going through. They have about a 78% quality of sleep. Great. Over here is they're on alcohol. They have taken alcohol and have, see how it's not as beautiful as this is, and it's impacting their sleep. So the impact of alcohol. We talk about this with students. This one's pretty amazing. Here's a normal night of sleep, getting really good sleep quality in here. And then here's the same person that took caffeine too close to bedtime. Look at, they're never getting into this deep sleep, like when their brain waves are like crazy. So they're losing good quality sleep. So educating students on caffeine and how that impacts your sleep, when you should take it, when you shouldn't take it, if you even need to take it, I won't go into my spiel. Okay. And then the other thing we can do is have students wear watches that measure like when they're sleeping and not sleeping. So this is kind of fun. We got Wednesday through Monday. So we got the weekend in here. And we got, this is midnight. And you can see this student, pretty typical, they're moving their sleep time. They're going to bed later and later as the week progresses. And then they have this nice little nap in there. And then through this Wednesday till Monday, they've lost 8 hours of sleep. They're a whole night's worth of sleep. They've deaded themselves. I don't know what the word would be there. They've taken away a whole night's of sleep by just going to bed later and later. And then here's one again, and this this student, you can see is going to bed late. We got some crazy naps in here, like just up all night here on Monday night, pulling an all-nighter probably for exams, and then getting to bed super early in the morning, just like crazy. I mean, all over the place. And I think it really, there's like this big misperception of like, oh, I'm going to study all week, or I'm going to stay up all night, and then on Saturday I'm just going to sleep till 3 o'clock and I'll be all caught up. And that's not how it works. You can only get back 30 to 40% of the sleep that you've lost. So educating students around that. All right, here is a pretty awesome graph. So the health survey that I say that we did through the American College Health Association, Roxanne got all the data, so from all across the country. So we have about 82,000 students in this data pool. I feel so cool with my little dot. 0 right here is average college sleep, which right in that, or right there is like, it's not a great amount of sleep. But for college students, the average amount of sleep, which is not perfect sleep by any means, it's not the 8 hours. So that would be 0. And what we can see is that students who sleep more than the average college amount of sleep are getting an A. And those that sleep, the less you sleep, the worse are your grades. Totally correlates sleep with academic grades. Huge. This is a famous actor. I keep forgetting who it is. But also, from that data set, the national data, 26% are waking too early. 36% of them have an extremely hard time falling asleep. This is just data that really speaks also at St. Thomas. It's happening nationally. Okay, and then here at St. Thomas, we have about 37% of our students are only getting enough sleep that they feel rested 2 or 3 days a week. Like, our students are struggling with sleepiness. So they're in classroom and they're sleepiness. They're trying to study and they're sleepy. They're working. They're trying to build relationships and they're sleepy. They're making food choices while they're sleeping. So you can imagine the type of foods that they're choosing if you want that quick fix, and then you get into this food cycle of, it's crazy. It's tied to everything. We know 37 of them report sleep difficulties. 93% struggle with sleepiness during the daytime. 43% report difficulty, a lot of difficulty with daytime sleepiness. 29% find it actually very traumatic, their sleeping difficulties. And about 5% of our students have been diagnosed or treated by a sleep professional for insomnia. And we've also done a lot of work with the clinic staff on campus. So now, like when students come in for a visit, every visit, no matter if you come for a sore throat or you have mono or whatever, we will ask you about your alcohol use, which is awesome. But now we're also asking about your sleep, and we've trained the staff in health service around talking to students about sleep and making connections with sleep clinics. So that's happening. And then, this is what we're doing, the Sleep Squad. We've done it a couple versions. The first version we did was, we're like, okay, what are we going to do? And we got this, you should be pretty impressed by just this. We got students to come for what we called Breakfast Club, if you know the movie. We got a group of students to come for 20 days at 8 a.m. in the morning. 20 days, 4 weeks. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. I mean, that's impressive right there. But so they came and they got a free breakfast was what they got. And then during that time, we had them do an education session. So I had all these different speakers come in. Remember the graph that says, like, what are you stressed out about? So we had somebody come in and talk about finances. And they talked about making a budget. We had somebody from financial aid come. We had different people on campus come and talk about academics. Of course, we had someone talk about alcohol, and we had all the relationships. Oh, they loved that one. There's a professor on campus that I super loved, and he came and he talked about romantic relationships and non-romantic relationships and how to navigate those. So we had 20 different topics, and we had some fun in there too. And they thought that was what they were getting, but we were measuring, of course, their sleep on this concept of waking up at the same time every day. And it was so amazing. We videotaped the students afterwards, and they looked healthier, their moods were so much better, and they were adjusting the time in which they were going to bed. By like the second week, by the fourth week, they were all going to bed earlier because they had to get up earlier. Some of them were even getting up without the alarm clock, which is what we're made to do. So they started adjusting their behaviors. It was awesome. And we had pretty good success with it. 16% reported they were just overall less stressed. And that was still 3 weeks after this had happened. 18 were more stressed, they're not coming to Breakfast Club anymore. But 41% of them were napping less, which is huge 3 weeks afterwards. That means they're getting enough sleep. And naps are so, they're kind of like this double-edged sword, I feel like. They're great if you know how to do them and you do them in the right way. And not a lot of college students know how to do that. And we always go back and forth, should we promote naps? Should we not promote naps? Because what are you going to do after 4 years? You're not going to be able to take a nap, and what if that's your routine? And so it's always, But so it's great. 41% were napping less. They were feeling more productive, and their moods were better. So it was a really successful. And then now what we've done, it's been kind of fun. We've developed a college student sleep questionnaire. It's 2 pages. We're trying to now get it implemented on an online version of it, proving to be difficult. But and what they do is you get to answer all these questions about your sleep, and then we've created the algorithms that will then put you into one of 9 different categories about the type of sleep you're having and what you can do. So, you really need to see a medical provider. You should see a medical provider. You're really time management type of things. Or you're this is what's happening for you. This would be helpful. And so we started doing this sleep questionnaire, and we go into groups that with athletic teams and do a sleep questionnaire, give them feedback, talk about how athletic performance is involved with sleep. And we've done it for 1,000 students on campus and validated it all, and it's a really great tool. So we're trying to figure out how to now bring that more forth. The other thing that we're doing, as kind of a side note here, is we've developed a college sleep environmental scan. So now we're focusing on super public health of us, focusing on the campus. And what is it about our campus that is sleep friendly or not sleep friendly? For instance, if you're in a residence hall like Brady or Dowling, and you have the lovely privilege of going to the bathroom in groups and showering in groups. So when you wake up in the night, if you have to go to the bathroom and you make your way to the bathroom, if you had red dimmed lights instead of these big bright hallway lights, it would keep you more in your sleep schedule throughout the night. So making changes and working on campus on what are the things we can do within our own environment to make it more sleep friendly here for college students. And as a parent, so remind them to wake up at the same time every day. Encourage them to assert their right for an environment that is sleep friendly. And those are hard conversations for some of your students to have with their roommates that they just are meeting for the first time. But talking about having it dark, if they want a sound machine, if they don't want a sound machine, navigating all those types of things, and then figuring out other things that will work for them within their environment, like a fan, or do they need blackout curtains, earplugs, eye masks, all these kinds of things when we do Sleep Squad. we always give away goodies for students to help them sleep. So we have earplugs, we talk about having tea or a gratitude journal before bed. One of the things that we give away that they love, I think it's like $1.99 or 99 cents. I think it was more or something the way they love this, but is an app so that they can download a sleep app onto their phone. And then that sleep app will measure their sleep throughout the week. Those slides about normal night of sleep compared to alcohol during the sleep, those were from a sleep app. So they can get responses right back to them about and hopefully make behavior changes based on their own sleep cycle that they can see. Encourage them to get the 8 hours of sleep. And then here's some different stuff that we do in the Wellness Center. We do a bunch of different programming on those 5 leading health indicators. We do programming in all those different areas beyond sleep and stress and alcohol. One of the big ones we have is the Wellness 5K Run Walk. It's Saturday morning of homecoming. We do a lot around cooking classes for with students. So all different areas. Health service you've learned somewhat about or a lot about by now. I like to say, I don't know if Madonna loves this, but I like to say it's a full service clinic. The only thing they don't do is x-rays. So they have everything. And we just hired a dietitian that even works down there now for if your student is needing nutrition information and stuff, or wants to keep a food log and have a professional look at it. We have a dietitian now in there, nurse practitioner, family medicine, physical therapy. There's all sorts of things. So it's a really great service. That's us. This is our logo students came up with just recently. So the different areas that we work on: sleep, physical activity, nutrition, relationships, stress, alcohol. So in closing, let your student know that you're available to listen whenever they want to talk and have concerns about their academic and social life. Encourage your students to have dialogue about his or her goals and expectations and how you can help. And I think my kid's going into kindergarten, so I don't know about this, but I have a theory that this would be a really good way to talk to your students about alcohol use. If your student gets in trouble with alcohol or has alcohol rises up, a nice way to frame that discussion, I would think, would be to bring it back to their goals and their objectives. And how's that playing? How's your alcohol use working against those goals and stuff you have for you? So that might be a nice way to have that conversation if you need to have it. And then always those continuous conversations and letting your student know you're there for them. And I think you've learned most about these resources today. So of course, we're always here to have conversations with you and stuff. If you ever, everybody in those departments are really helpful and stuff. So that's what I got for you. Any questions or anything? Otherwise, I'm more than happy to, I'll stick up here and you can come. Anything? Sweet. Nice, you're the first group. One time I got asked, well, what if my college student asks about my drinking behaviors in college? What if your son or daughter asked you? And I was like, oh, okay. You want me to talk about my drinking habits? It was super funny, but okay, so no questions is great. Love it. I'm up here if you want to stop by. Thanks.